Hi, this is Jim with cablesupply.com, and we're going to demonstrate some of the products we have that help you quickly and professionally install your cabling. Now we've done a lot of cabling here. This is probably a couple hundred cables here, and but what I've done is I put our lights in some of the outlets here, and we're going to show you how easy it is to identify that particular cable. Now some people mark the cables, everything else. The time you do marking and pulling it down and making sure you get it to the right place and everything else really just takes up a lot of time. And then you have to turn around and you have to take your tone and probe, and you have to go into each of the open ones. That takes some time. Whereas if you use the LEDs, let me tell my guy to push his battery pack in. Go ahead and push that battery pack in.
Battery pack is in.
Okay, that is panel 5, outlet 16. You can pull the battery pack now.
Battery pack out.
So at this point what you want to do is, so you can see it here, I got an open slot right there. And what you do is you take your tester now and you push your tester in there. So what I have here is I have the tester, as you can see. And usually I use a long one, a long patch cord. And what I do is I attach it to the side somewhere over here, and I just move the patch cord back and forth. And so it can go from one to the other like that, and that really works well. And so let me start testing here. And of course, having these little portable radios with a bright color on it really helps, because your team member out there on the floor is actually waiting for me to plug in. So I'm going to plug in, and again, this is a demo, so we usually have a longer cord. Okay, testing. Okay, it passes. Move on to the next one.
Battery pack is in.
Okay, did you see how fast that was? Okay, you're in panel 6 and you're in port 32. Pull the tester, or pull the power pack.
Power pack out, tester in.
Testing.
Battery pack in next.
Pass the test.
Battery pack is in the next cable.
Panel 5, outlet 36. Label it.
Affirmative.
So you're actually using your remote to your tester, your fluke tester.
The remote side of the 1800.
So, you know, some people mistakenly think that the LEDs are testers, and I tell them it's not testing anything. It's just cable identifying. And the problem I ran into, and the reason I came up with these years ago, was, you know, I was doing 800 pull. Yeah, the big high-rise in LA, and you know how long it takes when you use the tone and probe? Yes, it takes forever. And sometimes you get bleed over, and it's like, is it here, or is it here, or is it somewhere else? There you go, you got how fast that is, man. What do you think about keeping these in order? A lot of people like to do that. They start out on the ground, they start with 1, and then they go to 2, and then they work around the room. Now, the only time I've ever done that, he's pulled it early on you. Or did you already get your test?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? The small installs are only when customers request it, because it takes so much more labor.
Yeah, dressing takes more time.
You know what I like about these two is once you identify that cable, you come out and you're looking at you can tell how many cables you've identified already by removing the LEDs.
Missed any.
Yeah, or if you missed. What do you think about the fluke?
I like it.
You like it? There's your next one. That's a lot faster than toning.
Oh yeah.
I figure, doing this now for 40 years, obviously not cabling twisted pair for 40, because they didn't have it back then, but being in IT for 40 years and doing cabling, see how fast that one was too. Doing cabling, I found out that this is about a 30% savings when it comes to when it comes to labor. 30%.
Yeah, it's definitely
quicker.
a lot quicker.
A lot quicker. He's using a fluke tester, and they cause the LEDs to flash. Now my power supply doesn't. My power supply just causes a solid red light. So if you're using the power supply, you don't have to use a fluke, but if you're using the power supply that comes with the combo kit, then it just lights them solid. It's just a solid light. But this is nice, it's easy. You can see like exactly where that cable is when you're using these LEDs. He's doing labeling also.
No, not yet. We'll go around and label at the end.
So just to explain to people that may not know what's going on here, up here, this is your wire management, and it slaps down, and you put all your patch cords in there, and you can see some patch cords in there. And this right here is your switch, and it's a nice switch, Cisco switch. And down here, these are all switches that are nicely spaced. You don't want to put all your patch panels next to each other, then all your switches somewhere else, because then you're going to have to run these long patch cords all the way down. So the switches are evenly dispersed amongst the patch panels that are evenly dispersed, and these are really short patch cords. They're really nice. You don't have to use a lot of your wire management when you have that. Of course, these are managed switches, so each of those ports can be programmed separately to do different things, to be on different VLANs, to handle cybersecurity issues, things like that. And in the back, and I'll show it to you, the back planes are all connected here. So this is a back plane. So you can go in just to one switch, and you can program all the switches at one time. And at the same time, I don't know if this model actually does that, but most models, a lot of models that have backplanes also support each other's power supplies. So there's a power supply backup going on at the same time. So if one switch loses power, the other switch will support it. So, but you got to check with the what model number and all. And this is really, I discussed this before, this is very professional cabling. This is perfect. This is not sloppy. Now, a lot of the sloppiness you see in this room is not Teldata, and it's not the installer. This is previous installers who really didn't do the job as a professional. This is fantastic back here. But these little LED lights saves you a lot of times. You don't have to probe and tone. That takes forever, the probe and tone sometimes. Especially the bigger you are, the more the more patch panels that you got to tone and probe, the longer it takes. Because you got to, if you got, like I had 800 one time that I had to do. I think it was 800. It might have been less. It might have been a lot less, but it was in the hundreds. How about that? And that's when I use the LED lights, man, that just saves so much time. I could not believe it. So you put the LED lights in there. As soon as you put the LED lights in there, it lights up. You don't have to tone. Because if you're toning, you got to go through each and every single port. There, you see that? Just lights up, plugs in. Think of that time savings there. That is fantastic. Time savings. And so this is, if you're an installer, this should be in your toolbox. You should be taking this out with you. Think of the time you're going to save. And if you're a business owner and you're thinking of your guys out there and how much time they spend doing these things, then think about a 30% savings. Now each of these LEDs are packed in a solid clear plastic that protects them, so they're pretty hardy. They're not going to break anything else. You use our power supply. That's the exact amount of power that's needed. Now that beeping is the alarm system that they're testing here in the room also. But look at this. A lot of times the sloppiness just goes on, and I already pointed this out. Look at the two. The blue one, the cables on the right, that's professional. The mess that's on the left, that's unprofessional. Sometimes you pay a little more in a bid, you get the professional install. But some of this is a mess. So that's what you have. Now, up here you have fiber optic feed to the top switch. By the way, if you're a cabler and you want to advance your career, maybe the best thing to do at this point is start to learn how to program switches. Now, I'm not talking about Meraki, because Meraki, obviously, you don't have to have a lot of command line interface type of stuff to know how to program it. But the protocols, spanning tree protocol and things like that go into switches. If you know how to program them, you understand the protocols, you understand some of the things you can do. So what's going on here is the technician is here in this room, he's testing, but there's another technician out on the floor who's moving from one outlet to another and plugging in the fluke tester. So that's why instantly the lights light up. So as soon as it's tested, he moves on to the next one. Look how fast that is. And that's going to save you a ton of times. At any rate, you're just about done.
Close.
Been working on this for a couple of weeks off and on, this install.
Yep.
And we have documented it from the beginning. Actually, not from the beginning, but pretty close to it.
19.
And
finished up today.
And yeah, but it's a shame that all the parts aren't here. The furniture, all the furniture's not here. But they move in on 2 or 3 days from now, right? Next
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So today is Thursday. They move in on next Tuesday. And you know, it's something you're dealing with other trades and other vendors, sometimes that happens. I know I used to sit in these meetings where they would say, okay, low voltage guy, we're going to move in June 1st. And I've done enough of these with contractors, to know that June 1st is a wish date. That might be February that they're talking to us, and they would say, okay, your cut date's June 1st. Only to find out that the other vendors, the other trades, are nowhere near. Oh, that's the old way. Oh, wait, you didn't put LEDs down there, huh? That's the old way. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go.
All right.
And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem.
You guys do a really good job.
Thank you.
Okay. There we go. Hone in the old-fashioned way. Hone and probe. Oh, go back. Is that a crossover one? I heard a little bit of...
That's just the static in the probe, probably.
Go to the one on the right of it. Because I always had problems with crossover. There you go.
Yeah,
A little bit. Well, I've had major crossover sometimes, probably at the lower categories.
A lot of it's the probe, too.
The probe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a considerable time if you're using the LEDs. You can really save a lot of time on that. Hey, well, listen, thank you. Again, man, you guys do a really good job. Really love the work you people do. Very professional. Something you could be proud of. Everything else, this is top notch. It's a shame that you got to put it next to other vendors' work. That doesn't look good. Maybe it highlights what you do, huh? When it's next to the other stuff.
Single cable, so let's move into the next location.
Yeah. But it makes life a lot easier doing this rather than probing all the time. Short patch panels are sort of in the way. I mean, patch cords sort of in the way. So you said the IT department came in here and put those in, huh?
They did.
The short patch cords.
Yep.
Back in that whole area there, yeah. So that's the radio. Yes. These terminate in here. In these jack panels, there's 3 jack fields, 3 new ones here. Already got jumpers and the switches ready to go, so we'll just go right now. It doesn't matter what port they're in. It's all these and so slam and up there and do some other. Once these guys figure out where things are, we
Be done by the end of today.
This is AT&T, Jim.
Be nice if you had more LEDs. Sorry, you're short there on LEDs.
Still faster.
Well, you know, what's nice about this video is you can see the difference between tone and probe and just using the LEDs. Plus, the nice thing about the LEDs, you can see the ports that have already been tested. So when you take out the LEDs, the ports have already been tested. So your remote is actually causing the LEDs to flash. It's obviously not the power, the battery pack, because the battery pack doesn't flash. So it gives you a steady red light, not a flashing light. But if you got Fluke,
1800.
pricey, very expensive. But you see how fast it is when you're certifying each one. You know, there's some companies, and I don't like the philosophy, where they only test 1 in 5. 1 in 5 of their cables, or one every other cable, or something like that. I've always tested every single cable.
Yeah, we tested every cable.
And if you test every single cable, the nice thing about that is you don't have go-backs. You know, you're not having that go-back 2 weeks later because there's a jack that's not working right, and there are mistakes made, so you got to test every single one. How you doing?
Doing good.
Just doing the remote end, huh?
Uh-huh.
Daniel, I mean, he's trying to do caddy.
Listen, you're going to do cabling, you got to have your tools on your belt. You know, none of this stuff going up and down ladders looking for wire cutters or screwdriver or something like that. You got to have your tool belt on. Having problems with one jack?
Reversal.
That happens. This is why you test every single jack.
Yes.
Yeah, professionals test every single jack. You know, some people may not be aware of this, but I got a master's degree in business administration and everything else. But I tell you what, man, it takes just as much talent and knowledge and everything else to come out here and do a job like this, where you think it through, you schedule it. And I really get offended sometimes when people actually think just because you got a tool belt on your belt that somehow you're not as smart or just not as intelligent or as industrious or anything else as the PhDs that work at the colleges and things like that. Let me tell you, this is what makes America work, man. That's the way I see it, is the trades, the people out here to build buildings. You look all around and these buildings have been built. They haven't been built by the PhDs. They've been built by the steel workers and stuff like that. My grandfather was a steel worker in East Coast. And I often look at some of those bridges that go across Delaware River, and I remember about my grandfather who was involved in building some of those bridges. You know, this is it. This people that are the doers are the ones that do things like this. So, you know, they got like a day left to finish this up. And sometimes you get hard dates like you did on this one, and not all the vendors come through, so you still have the cubes that aren't here. But they're going to be up and working. They're going to be up and working by next Tuesday. So it's nice construction site. These people have done a nice job finishing up. They'll be ready by Tuesday. IT department needs to come in now and put in the phones, put in the cable and stuff like that. But it's the trades. It's the people that have skills, the people that get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and get to work and actually put this all together. It's also the people who plan this. I've been in many plannings and scheduling and stuff like that. But have great respect for the people that wear the hard hats, that show up to work every day and use their skill to get things done. Sometimes they know better than the planners. You know, they know better what needs to be done and how it's done, and what's practical and what isn't practical. Anyway, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for hanging in there for this last video on the commercial cabling. I appreciate it, and hope you're having a great day.